Broadcasting live from the studios of Fox Sports Radio.
Bang, bang, won't stop till we're legends.
Here's Doug Gottlieb.
There are some of you that are Browns fans that want me to come on here and mea culpa. I guess I don't really know what I'm supposed to mea culpa for. Like, this is what happens. When you say you want the Browns to lose, you want the Browns to lose only because I don't care about the Browns. I don't really care about the Jets. Don't. I just love futility streaks. I love when teams find a way to lose. You're like, no way they lose this game. And then they do. And it happened forever with the Browns. It happened this year with the Browns, the first two games, and it almost happened last night. Let's be honest. When Hugh decides to punt the ball late, okay, a field goal would give him a 7-point lead, or 4th and 1, just get the damn first down. Run a little zone read. Hey, give Baker Mayfield some options. And run those, all you need is 1 yard. The game is over. Instead, he punts it, and you're like, oh, boy. I mean, they've been panning to people hugging in the stands, and all I can think of was all of these dudes who thought the streak was over crying because somehow Sam Darnold led a miraculous comeback. It would be for not. Darnold would throw it just kind of bizarre, throw it up to Robbie Anderson, interception, and that would be with that. Look, I don't think there's anyone who will argue that Baker Mayfield is going to be the starting quarterback, right? Like, good luck putting Tyrod Taylor, who sucked, he has just not been good. Like, could they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers? Yeah, they probably could have beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers. They should have beaten the New Orleans Saints. They did not. They did not. And he was awful last night. He was just awful. And so Baker comes in, and he lights a fire. They win the game, their first win since December of 2016, and that is essentially that. I mean, it take the National Guard to get Baker out of it. Here's Hugh Jackson being wishy-washy after the game.
Obviously, I like to watch the tape. Obviously, Baker did some great things. I mean, again, we don't play until next Sunday. We got some days. Let's not get into those debates tonight. You know, obviously, what he did tonight was outstanding for the football team and for his teammates and just the way he competed. But again, I have to watch the tape, and we'll go from there.
We're doing the same thing we did with the John Gruden cut, aren't we? Right? People said, "Oh, you have to watch tape." Oh man, Hugh is he's so lame. He said I have to watch the tape, but he obviously played great. Like, just actually listen to we did this exact same thing with John Gruden. John Gruden said, "Oh, pass rushers are hard to find. Great pass rushers, especially, really hard to find." And then he went into a further sentence about, you got to develop guys. College football is just different from the NFL. And it takes time to adjust. And we have a couple of guys who, it was like a much more thoughtful answer, which is the same thing as Hugh Jackson. But Baker's going to be the guy, and part of this is he's the number 1 overall pick. He was going to be the guy regardless. This process got sped up, and it ends up being perfect. Like the perfect team, the perfect time, and you get the perfect amount of time for him to prepare for a much more difficult schedule. But, just because you're bad in your first game doesn't mean you'll be great. And just because you're great in your first game doesn't mean you'll be great. Is Marcus Mariota awesome? I don't know. His first game was against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another one, remember, matched them up with Jameis Winston. Right? And in that game, and remember, Tampa Bay, much like the Jets, terrible. And Marcus Mariota, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 86.7 passer rating. They win 42-14. You're like, wow, Tampa made such a mistake. Now, Tampa may have made a mistake. They could. It's very possible that at the end of they picked up the 5th-year option. At the end of his 5th year, they may move on from Jameis Winston. Should be pointed out that Jameis Winston's coming off statistically his best year of his career. And Mariota, though his team went to the playoffs, let's be honest, they were so happy with how Mariota was doing, they fired the coaching staff. Right? They backed their way into the playoffs in a division to which Deshaun Watson got hurt, Andrew Luck was hurt, and the Jaguars tried to make us believe that they liked Blake Bortles last year. Like the Titans, they moonwalked their way into the playoffs. It's still yet to be determined if Marcus Mariota is good, is great, is bad. He's fine right now. But if you take his first game, and if you don't believe me on the argument of the first time you see somebody should not be the determinant of whether or not they're great, just look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, Monday Night Football against the Detroit Lions, like, man, is he awesome? Me and Cowherd like, see, told you so. Well, we had to remember about Baker Mayfield. No one was saying Baker Mayfield sucked. People were saying Josh Allen sucked. Okay, there was no one saying Baker Mayfield sucked. What they said was, look, he's really developed because he's played with two unbelievable offensive minds when he played for Cliff at Texas Tech, and then the entire group, but especially Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. He played for two of the best quarterback minds, offensive minds in college football. Plus, he has a high football IQ. Plus, he played as a freshman, started as a sophomore, junior, and senior at Oklahoma, played in 2 college football playoffs, was in 3-time Heisman Trophy finalist and won the damn thing. Like, he's played a ton of football. Super high football IQ. Better arm than Case Keenum in the same style. Probably better arm than Menzel. Not as good an athlete as a Russell Wilson. Probably not as good an arm as a Russell Wilson, but there's some similarities there to where people wanted you to believe that he was that guy. But the matchup was, would you rather have Sam Darnold for the next 10 years or Baker Mayfield for the next 10 years? And every GM I've talked to, and most GMs in the National Football League, with the exception of Cleveland, said, rather have Sam Darnold. It wasn't poo-pooing what Baker Mayfield had. So look, if you're Cleveland, enjoy the win. Couldn't have happened to a more deserving fan base. And it's pretty obvious they have dudes in the defensive side of the ball. When you draft in the top 5 every year for what seems like the past 15 years, eventually you're going to figure some stuff out. Even the dysfunctional Browns organization that has fired GM after GM and coach after coach and quarterback after quarterback, it's like the Jaguars, right? Like, the Jaguars are good now. Blake Bortles is played his best game as a pro, but the truth is they're good. They're competitive because they've drafted so high so many years. Eventually you figure it out. Pass rush is dynamic. But if you want me to buy in on Baker is better than Sam Darnold because of one half of football, everyone knew the Jets sucked. Their offensive line's bad. The Browns' defensive line is awesome. And, oh, yeah, by the way, everything you're saying about Baker now, we said about Sam Darnold week 1, and we had a whole game against the Detroit Lions who knew he was coming as opposed to the Jets who didn't know they were going to see Baker. So people will game plan. The schedule will get more difficult, and only time will tell. It doesn't mean you didn't get a good quarterback. I just don't believe you got the best quarterback. Everything you saw from Baker Mayfield last night was what we assumed you would see. Leadership, which I taught, he's not Manziel. Manziel was always about himself, and some guys liked it and some guys did not. Baker, guys loved at Oklahoma. Loved. Baker does have a very good arm. Baker does have a tremendous football IQ. He does process things super quickly. The questions about him are size, ultimately arm strength in bad weather, which is coming in Cleveland, coming in the AFC North, and time will tell as people adjust to what they're doing and who Baker Mayfield is. But my desire to see the Browns lose had nothing to do with Cleveland. I could not possibly care any less. It was more, I love futility streaks. And we almost saw it last night. And I'm guessing if you search your heart, you're probably like, no, I really want Cleveland to win. No, you didn't. You really want to see them lose. You're like, they always lose. Kind of in that same way in which you want to see Notre Dame lose, and yet Notre Dame, like Vanderbilt last week, like find a way to win. Like, I hate when Notre Dame finds a way to win, but they do. All right. Lot to get to. I mean, I'm looking at some of these stats from first starts. Andrew Luck, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 51% completion percentage. Carson Wentz was okay. Remember, they beat the Browns, the terrible Browns team, 29-10, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. There isn't necessarily a correlation. Deshaun Watson, trashed by the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 46.4 quarterback rating. Then if you remember, they adjusted the offense, made it more college-like, and all of a sudden he took off. So I thought Mayfield was great. The energy was awesome. He enjoyed the moment. Browns fans enjoyed the moment. They drank up their Bud Light. and the Jets looked exactly like I thought they would look, and why I said you might think about sitting Sam Darnold, because he would be under so much duress, so much pressure. But the Jets have determined, they've weighed that and determined, hey, it's better for him to take his licks this year. He's going to take a lot of them.